In this episode, we speak with Jason McGowan, one of the co-founders of the fastest growing cookie companies in the nation since 2017. With over 700 locations in the US and Canada, Crumbl Cookies is powered by cutting-edge technology, iconic branding, delicious desserts, and passionate people. In 2017, two cousins, Jason McGowan, with career experience in technology and marketing, and Sawyer Hemsley, still finishing his college degree, teamed up to create a new kind of cookie company. What started as a side hustle and several trials and errors in their baking quests eventually led to creating the world's best chocolate chip cookie. From there, the rest is history. Opening their first store in Logan, Utah, which only served their signature chocolate chip cookie, they eventually expanded to a weekly rotating menu of several flavor options and quickly made their way to opening locations throughout the states. In 2023, Crumbl Cookies expanded internationally and opened stores in Canada. The company's famous pink-branded box and weekly flavor rotations make them stand out from the baking crowd. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to subscribe.
RJ Lumba is the executive chairman of Market Insight Media and the managing partner of Growth Cap. He is the host of Great Entrepreneurs, a podcast for driven entrepreneurs and business owners. Our podcast covers all topics related to the entrepreneurial journey, from ideation to execution to optimization and to reaping the rewards of a well-run business. In the minutes ahead, we'll share with you unique insights and tactics from some of today's most accomplished and inspiring entrepreneurs.
Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's a delight to be with you.
Great. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you as well today.
I'll jump right into it. So one thing that's really interesting is that you have a deep tech background and you're an entrepreneur, looks like multiple times over. The question that pops into my head is, why cookies? How did you come around after being, chief CEO, co-founder, and chief product officer at many different tech companies? How did you decide upon embarking on a cookie company?
Well, I ask myself that question every once in a while too. What was I thinking? What happened? And it was actually not a big, huge plan thing. It was kind of just something that naturally happened. So I have my cousin Sawyer. We did this business together, and I was running and doing technology, and he was in school. And at the time, DoorDash wasn't really prevalent, and you could only really order pizza to your house. And I wanted to do something that was really interesting in the food space and do something physical. Almost all my career is in software. So it's, building technology and software to connect people and that sort of thing. And so I thought, what'd be interesting would be to do something physical, like a physical product that you just build and you sell. And I love the idea of doing, a technology that could deliver it to your house other than just pizza. And so it was just kind of a side hustle and something that we did along the side for fun. And we opened up our first location, and, there were lines out the door, and it was, pretty exciting. But even the first building that we had, when we got it, it was set to be demolished in 6 months. So here we go, leasing this building. It showed you how much faith we had. And it was more just like a side project, something that was fun, something that we thought would be cool. And when it started taking off, then it became a decision of, okay, whoa, is this something that I want to do? Am I going to put my full weight behind it? Is Sawyer going to do the same? And so Sawyer had a job and a career somewhere else that he was going to go do at a kind of a marketing firm. And I had my technology background, and we both just said, let's quit what we're doing. And of course, our wives are like, you guys are crazy. Like, what are you thinking? And our family was like, guys, even brother-in-law was like, Jason, I hate to tell you, this is going to be the business you build that finally fails. And so there's just lots of this feeling. And, just for some reason, we had a lot of fun doing it. And we thought maybe we can make a go at this. And so we quit what we were doing, went into it full time, and been off to the races ever since. So that was kind of the incubus, or the thought process of why doing cookies was just something fun on the side. And then when we saw it had potential, we decided to put all of our energy and passion behind it.
Did it work because of the delivery angle to it, or did it work because you had really unique cookies that just tasted different?
Well, when we launched, we only had one cookie and one flavor. It's like the most simplest menu literally in the entire world of just launching one thing. And I think one thing that I've learned quickly, whether it's in software or services or products, the most important thing that you can do is build something that people like. And, when we got started with this business and we realized, okay, we got all this equipment, we got all this stuff, we're like, we got to build, get our recipe going here. And we only had time to make one cookie, like, because we wanted to make sure it was the best. And so we took the same kind of, learning that we had in the technology background. In the technology background, it's called A/B testing. In
Hmm.
the food world, it's called taste testing. And
Hmm.
so we said, let's take that same methodology and let's just like taste test out different ingredients, whether we're making decisions between the semi-sweet versus the milk for what chocolate goes in it, what flour, the bake time, temperature, how it's set, like all these other different decisions that we made early on were really just how do we make the best cookie? And we only had time because our time was running out on the building. So we launched with only one. And what made it successful at the end of the day was the product. You can always get people in from social media with marketing, you can get people in ordering through technology. But what makes people want to come back again and again and again is how well your products taste. And so I think what made it really successful early on is we really had the world's best chocolate chip cookie. And that's what happened when we launched, and people loved it and they wanted to come back and try it again and again. And so that was kind of it. Obviously the hooks of the making it easy to purchase with technology was really interesting. Back in the day when you watched the delivery driver on your mobile phone, like on a map, actually bringing your food, that was cool. Today it's like ubiquitous, right? Like it's like, oh, everyone has that. Like it's not, you don't even check your phone to see where the driver is anymore. But at the time that was exciting and fun and interesting. And so those kinds of things, all contributed to people really wanting to try Crumbl and then love it when they did try it.
Well, you've expanded extremely quickly since your founding in 2017. And I wonder, with your background, could that have happened if you didn't have the tech experience and being a product guy?
I mean, I don't think it would have happened well. Let's say that. So, having the tech background and interlacing technology into all we do was an integral part of making sure that we could scale. So, whether that's managing our quality, seeing where our quality is at company wide, and being able to see all those photos in real time, being able to see our stats and our data, integrating the customer experience through all that. We have features that are specific to our franchisees where they can see how well they're doing, whether it's on ticket times or sales or whatever the case may be. And so we can really, really see how well the business is doing and where our pain points are and how we can fix it. So I would say technology was an integral part, and we maybe perhaps could have scaled in some ways, but I think it would have really hurt the brand. And I think technology is something that really, really has helped us see where our weaknesses and where our strengths are.
Mhm. And did you bootstrap the company, or did you take in some outside funding, or did you just fund it yourself?
I just funded it entirely myself. So we funded it ourselves. And my whole career, when you're building software, you're usually building software and you're selling it. And there's a ramp up period and you do investment of these things. But we built it. I put the money in myself, and then we started selling cookies, and people loved it. And so the sales and profits started coming in very quickly early on. And then when we were scaling the business, we made sure financially that we lived within our means and lived within, what we had. And that discipline has allowed us to, focus on one, the most important things, but two, has allowed us to make sure that our business is super healthy today. So we have zero funding from outside investors into our business, and it's been great.
This story is like a dream for probably so many people out there that know how to make a great cookie, and probably would like to be an entrepreneur themselves, but it's extremely hard to do, right? Like there's pretty much no barriers to entry in this space. Like if you can make a cookie and you could maybe afford to set up a shop or afford some ovens to grow some scale and start delivering, you could probably get into this business. But there's other elements to it. I mean, obviously, you had some funding, you had the tech experience, but what do you think is the most crucial element to being a good entrepreneur in order for someone to have like a fighting chance?
Well, I think is somebody who is not afraid to just get going and is not afraid of failure, right? I think a lot of times you have people who want to make sure something is perfect and they never get started. So a lot of entrepreneurs, it just dies in the ideation stage, or that would be cool if stage, right? And so the very, very early on is like, I've got to be willing to just go try something. And then I think the second thing is like, you got to be willing to be almost like embarrassed in some ways. You've got all these friends and family, like, here I am, I've done tech executive, I've built technology before in the past and all these things. And then you got your friends and family being like, that guy went crazy. Yeah. Like he just went off and started baking cookies. Like that was kind of like the mindset. So you almost have to be like willing to be embarrassed and not really care what people think. And so in my life, luckily, unfortunately, over, periods of time, I've just not really cared about that. If I have a failure or something happens, it's more about how hard did I try? my integrity through the whole process. Those types of things are things that do matter to me. But people saying that it's not going to work or you're dumb or whatever else, those are almost fuel to my fire these days as an entrepreneur. So if you can take and learn from those things and make those things fire instead of water dousing your plans, you use it as fuel to grow. I think that's something that's really important that you have to do. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to look bad. You have to put yourself in the arena and just give it an honest try. And you have to just do it. Those are like the things of entrepreneur. Like, it seems really basic, but there's so many people that are fear of failure, or their fear of success, or overthink something and just don't get started with it. So those are the two things at the very early stages that I think are some of the most crucial things to just get going and actually start off being successful.
The other thing I wonder is when folks come from like a more corporate setting and dive into being an entrepreneur, sometimes they can be hesitant to really do everything, because they're so used to delegating. Did you, bring people on to help you, or did you really do everything in the beginning of Crumbl?
So at the very beginning, I was the one that was doing the deliveries of the cookies and answering the customer service calls in the middle of doing my deliveries and getting back and figuring out, how to do certain things. So the answer is, if you're an entrepreneur, you're getting your hands dirty in every little thing, especially at the beginning. You can't build something and kind of just grow something out of just a bunch of people like that. In fact, early on, that might be detrimental to trying to grow and be successful. At the very beginning, it's like, what's our idea? What's our core pain problem that we're solving? How are we actually helping people? And being agile and little at the very beginning is actually, I think, really crucial to the success too, as well. It's really, for me, my philosophy around scaling and hiring people is not like, oh, we need to hire a bunch of people because we're going to have this much sales in the future. It's more around, we have this need, like we are growing out of this and these people can't do this anymore. And we have a need for these people. And I think that kind of mindset gets you to stay lean and stay healthy, and only really are starting to focus on the things that matter. Now, there are times when you strategically, as you get bigger, start thinking a little bit different, strategically hire, in certain areas for growth, and you look towards the future and that sort of thing. But I think early on, it's not about like the grand vision and dream, and we're going to make it all a reality right now. It's, how do I get the fundamentals right of, is the product or service good? Do people like it? Will they come back and continue to come back for it? And then once you've kind of nailed that and people keep coming in, then you start ready for the scaling in that particular portion of the business. But don't try to scale your business if your product is not right, if your product market is not right. You're not going to scale or grow or help your business succeed by just throwing in a bunch of more bodies when your product and core offering is not something that's solving a problem or a need for somebody.
Mhm. Well, going back to the time when you were actually doing the deliveries, I could see if someone who had an ego and their identity was tied up in who they were, what their job was at the time, maybe that would be difficult for them. They'd be like, I don't want to be seen delivering cookies. Like, what will everyone think? Did that ever enter your mind, or you just really didn't care?
You know, I think there's some part of you that's like, you think maybe that a little bit, but when you get into it, you just don't really care. I mean, like, should I do this idea in general? Yes. Like, that's like, people are telling you this, oh my goodness, what are people think? But there's something in entrepreneurs that when they get an idea and they want to prove it out, it's almost like it doesn't really matter what's in the path, whether it's me making a delivery today or me having to answer customer service or whatever. You can't think like that, or you're not going to be able to really grow from the beginning. And by the way, I also think that's why sometimes when companies get a little bit bigger and larger, in our case, they forget those core fundamentals. Like, you should still take customer service calls. You should still
Mhm.
visit and see what the main pain point problems are and work on those different things. And so you should always have that attitude of getting dirty, getting on the front lines, figuring out how to kind of make it happen.
And as your company was really starting to take off and you could see that, this was truly scalable, when did you make that decision to franchise, or was that always in your mindset?
So really, franchise was born out of kind of a necessity to work with family and not necessarily a grand plan to grow the business at first. So at first we had one family member who was going to be part of the business. She was worried it would not be successful and decided not to jump on at the very beginning. Then after the second store, her husband called us up, which happens to be Sawyer's dad, and was like, she's going to kill me. I tried to convince her not to do this, and now it's being successful. Is there any way I can buy a little share or a portion? And At that time, we're like, you know what? We already did self-funding. Our cap table was the cleanest one in the world. We're not going to have anyone else come on at this point, and we're going to just, grow it. But maybe we should have you be part of it and do your own store. And that's, well, franchising is the model that works in, this business. And so that's kind of how franchising was born. And then when we had that family member do it, we had other family members like, well, if he's doing one, I want to do one. And then our neighbors started wanting to do it. And then after people started seeing all these stores and the success, then all of our customers wanted to start becoming franchise partners. And so that's kind of really how it was born and how it grew.
The neat thing is I was doing a little bit of research, I saw we've got, I think, a podcast and video program about cookies. And I was like, wow, like you've got a big following on YouTube. I'm like, how many people are out there listening to
I think we
Cookie
got like a
Talk?
million followers or subscribers on YouTube or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was born, I presume, within your corporate team.
It was. And our company has always been a social media company. Like from the day that we were born, we were always delivering social media content. There's a way to talk to our customers, share with them. And a lot of companies at the time were doing traditional methods of television, print, and radio. And so we always just have been a social media company. And so like, even today, we have more followers on TikTok than Nike and Starbucks combined. So like we've gone all in on social media and our customers love us. And we also interact with them. We comment, we do those things. So those things are the things that really, really helped us.
Were you always an entrepreneur? Like, it looks like you started something in college, but I'm wondering, like, before then, even when you were a kid.
I think I've been asked, before in the past, like, when were you an entrepreneur? And I look back to myself when I was a kid. I was the kid that saw the penny candies that were in the store. And if I bought a box of them, it was cheaper per candy. And so I'd be selling them to my friends. I probably ate way more profits than I should have, though, back in those ventures. I didn't have good EBITDA in my candy selling friends world. But yeah, so I mean, I was always like that. And my dad started a business where, he shuttled people from a town called Lethbridge to Calgary, and that airport was a couple hours away. And so I would ride with him every once in a while and, then just kind of see it. So I think it's always been with me of just wanting to build something. And for me, I'm a creator. I love building things. I love working with smart people. I love building products that make people happy. And so, just as a creator, your natural instinct is to build and create and do things that people love. So,
I'd like to touch on people and culture. I mean, obviously, you have to have some skill in that area to be able to scale like you have. Do you have a general philosophy that helps guide you as you work with people and, try to recruit more to the company?
yeah. So I think as we look at our company, we view our company not just as a cookie company, but a company that creates meaningful moments between people. And so whether you're enjoying large cookies together or that sort of thing, we view ourselves as moments makers. Where creating these meaningful moments. And so how does that translate into our culture and what do we do? So there are a lot of workplaces in the world that are just focused 100% on execution and the work, and the people are just kind of part of the cog in the wheel to make that happen. And a lot of people are actually really successful at that, and it's a good model for lots of people. But we wanted to take a little bit of a different approach, not only for a mission, but just kind of what do we value in the world? When we look back on our lives and we say, hey, we created this thing or we did this, like what matters? And for us, it's not necessarily just about creating cookies or generating revenue for ourselves or profits for ourselves. It's been about this meaningful moment. So culturally, what do? We have a great work-life balance. We work really hard and really efficient and try to be optimized, what we're working on every day of the week. But, at nighttime, we expect people to be with their families, to go to their kids' sporting events, to create meaningful moments with their friends and their family. In these past summers, what we do is we tell people that they have to have Fridays off. We don't let people come into work on Fridays. And we also, because we were so worried that people wouldn't actually do anything with meaningful moments, we started paying people to go on vacations with their family members. And we created this, channels where people could communicate and say, here's what I'm doing and that sort of thing. So, and I got a lot of people saying, is it work? Is it like, do you get more productivity out of them? And the answer is no, it does not work for productivity. It does decrease things. I will be careful in saying that though, because sometimes I don't know what it does to the culture overall of the happiness. And we do have a place that's happy. We have people that work hard, and we have a culture of a place that focuses on things that are the most important. And so for me, that's what I get prideful and happy about, is watching those people spend those meaningful moments with their friends and family, people, going to work when it's done and caring for their families. And I guess my hope is that we all look back on life with a little less regret of It was all about, killing myself to create the next widget or the next cookie or the next whatever it may be. So for me, I think that's culturally how we look at Crumbl, and that attracts a lot of people who want to, be focused on family and moments and people. And then that culture translates throughout the company of these meaningful moments.
Mm-hmm. Now you have the franchisees, and they're all in their various locations across the U.S. and I believe Canada. But then I presume you also have a fairly sizable corporate team. Is that team in person or remote combination?
We like the office. I mean, we do have I think some teams work on Wednesdays, they work from home, but majority of the time we come to the office. We've got a lot of young, ambitious people. And so integrating and working with other people is really exciting. So yeah, we like people to come into the office, work in the office as far as that is concerned. And most of them are in Utah. So we have a few remote people or other people that are, in different places, but in general, people are here.
Okay, awesome. Final two questions. One is, can you tell us a little bit about a person who has had an influence on you?
Obviously your parents have a huge influence on you. I've had amazing childhood growing up. I had amazing parents who loved and cared about me. And I think that was always, allowed me the freedom to explore and try new things. I think in general, from a business standpoint, I've always loved people who were excellent at whatever they did. So it didn't matter what field it was at. So if you look into investing and you see what Warren Buffett has done and how he's become the best at it. And so, reading his book and the books that he recommends has been just thrilling and exciting. Or you look at technology and you see Steve Jobs and you see what he's done. Or I look at Tesla and Elon Musk and what he's done. And so I think a lot of the people that I look up to are the people who are just absolutely best in their craft. It doesn't matter if they're baking cookies, building cars, or building, Walmarts. Like for me, it's just like watching people become the best at something, or customer service, and watching, how hospitality is done with, Chick-fil-A or the. So I'm just fascinated by people who are the best at what they do. So a lot of those leaders, looking up to them, and some of them have gone now, but I still see and, listen to their speeches and talks or read their books and those kinds of things. Those are the people that I kind of have looked up to, of people that guide me in building legacy, brand, and things that are important.
Awesome. Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
So one thing I'm getting into a lot lately is soccer. I've got 7 kids. I got 5 of them that are girls, and I got many of them that are in club soccer. And so donating, helping with local soccer, and me wanting to kind of have visions of helping them do even more and become soccer even more important. So soccer is kind of that bug that I've got, and that itch that I've got from watching my kids. And so I spend some time, that sort of thing, donating my time and energy and money into that. And then of course my church, I've led a local church, and I love and helping out locally with them, and, serving people. I get a big, huge joy in life out of serving our franchise partners, helping them be successful, whether it's in soccer or my neighbors, or just helping other people. Like if I was to look back on my life, and my mantra would be like, how do I make other people successful? And that's where I feel like my core motivation or value in life is. So whether it's customers and cookies, or neighbors being discouraged, or franchise partners and being successful financially, or whatever else, I find great joy in just focusing on helping other people. And I think, whether I financially made it successful and made money or didn't make money, at the end of the day, like if I tried my best and I helped people in some way, I just feel very rewarding and satisfied. And I think that's my life. That's what I hope to do.
What a great note to end on, and love your philosophy. And by the way, I'm right there with you on the soccer dad thing. I spend a lot of time at my daughter's soccer games. So Jason, want to thank you again for taking the time. I know our audience will find this very insightful.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.